Hey, Sam here, just ahead of the start of the podcast. Upon editing this episode, I did realise that we had a couple of audio glitches throughout. I've done my best to remove them, but I just wanted to apologise up top to just say sorry about it. It only happens a handful of times in the episode, but hopefully it doesn't distract you. Enjoy!
We're not in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
The Force will be with you. Always. Assemble.
Welcome back to Get Real, the podcast where we get real about all of our favourite pop culture films and TV shows. I am your Mandalorian bounty hunter, Chris, and with me, as always, is my badass stalker in the night, dual-wielding lightsaber badass co-host, Sam.
Got my hood up, got my, what are they called? The lekor? Whatever? Those things that Ahsoka
The horn things that aren't quite
horn
horns, the
things,
floppy and
yeah.
fleshy.
You know?
They must be weird to touch, mustn't they?
I
It's like an arm with like no bones in.
Yeah, they're odd things, aren't they? I whip my Leku back and forth. Right, anyway, yeah, this is episode, 53? 52?
Jeez.
50-something, 52. And we are talking about, exclusively talking about The Mandalorian this week, because it was a big ep, wasn't it?
Wow, there's
Wow.
no chance to talk about anything else because there's too much Mando talk.
And because nothing else has come out.
No, nothing else has come out, but too much Mando talk.
Yeah, a lot of Mando talk this week. So for those people who loved our 6-7 hours we did of Star Wars, we're back. Your boys are back with more.
I think
Star
we're probably
Wars.
clocking up to at least like nearly 20 hours of Star Wars content
I
in
think
total.
we've like absolutely sold out, mate. I think we've really messed up here. But anyway, 52 episodes. And yeah, we normally start this off with a bit of a preamble, but what normally comes after the preamble is what have you been watching this week, Chris?
Well, I've been watching a few things. After our talk the other day, I went and watched Christmas with the Cranks straight afterwards.
Nice.
After last week's episode where I mistaken, what was it, Christmas with the Coopers with Christmas with the Cranks?
Yeah, got 'em mixed up.
Yeah,
That
so
happens,
I went to watch Christmas with the Cranks because that's on Netflix. I watched The Grinch, the Benedict Cumberbatch animated version from last year, was it?
Very Christmassy.
It's all right, but it's definitely not the Jim Carrey version. Definitely not. What else did I watch? I feel like I've watched another Christmas film in the week. We watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Okay,
That's
cool.
always a funny one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've started on part 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure,
Nice.
which is just getting even weirder.
Yeah,
They've
even more
introduced
bizarre, some
stands
would
now.
say.
Yep, even more bizarre. I feel like there's something that I'm forgetting, but the main one is I started James May's O Cook last night, and I watched 6 episodes in a row, and it got to 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I should probably go to bed.
Yes, that is also on my list, so we can talk about that together
Okay,
right now.
right. So, have you seen the breakfast episode?
I've watched all of it, mate. I finished
Okay,
it.
so I've only got the last episode. I've only got episode 7 left to watch. It's so funny, and like just the way he cocks stuff up and everything. But then half the time it ends up going right. It was amazing. But you know, the one dish he fucks up really badly is the potato hash, the black pudding potato
that
hash.
is
I actually
in
made
his cookbook.
I actually made it this morning, but without black pudding.
Oh, nice.
So
You just
I'm really
made potato
full.
hash.
I made potato hash. I was like, that seems pretty good. I've got potatoes in, and we were like trying to figure out what to have for breakfast. And I was like, we don't really have everything for a fry up.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got some aspects of it. Like, we had eggs in, we had some beans left, we had a bit of bacon. I was like, do you know what? I'll make a potato hash to go with it. And do you know what? Like, I overboiled my potatoes a bit, so they went a bit like, they didn't keep the cubed shape. They started to become more mashed, more like a traditional hash. But it fucking worked and it tasted well nice.
Isn't it interesting? Like, we would never really go watch a cooking show. And
I do. I watch them all the time.
Well, I don't. And I mean, I've watched Chef's Table. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Okay.
But you watch something like James May's O Cook, and all of a sudden, I feel like I've learned a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I really liked the look of that shashuka. What is it? Shashuka? The breakfast one that he did with, like, the tomatoes and the egg and stuff in it.
Oh, well, I nearly made that because I was like, I've got more of the aspects for that, but Charlotte's not a big fan of eggs done that way. She prefers scrambled eggs and omelettes. So I was like, do you know what? We'll make scrambled eggs. I'll do that another time. But yeah, I'm well excited to try that.
Yeah.
Tomatoey and toasty and eggy. Nom, nom, nom.
And also, it's just very funny because he's just so Britishly dry with his humor.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. It's a good little.
I love
fun
the
watch.
dessert episode, and like the producers just said, like, this is the most. What was it? I can't remember how he worded it now. I just forgot it. I remembered it. He was like, "Oh, this is the most bad-tempered dessert I've ever watched." Yeah. He's just getting pissed off about the apple crumble.
Yeah, it's dead
But
good.
he says it himself, like, if he can do it, then anyone can do it, and I think that's why it's a bit more accessible for people like us to watch. Like,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you're not got like Gordon Ramsay just there, like, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, and like, what the fuck are these techniques and everything? He's just speed running through it, whereas James is just there, like, I only know how to cook 3 things. Now I'm making a cookbook. Bear with me.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, that's Well, have you watched anything else, or is that the last thing that you watched?
Yeah, I'll say that's the last thing. It's the last thing that I really. Oh no! There was something else. I just remembered.
Whoa,
So
fell off
something
my
else
chair
that I
then.
watched. Surprised you with the memory. So there's a BBC 4 series, I think. So BBC 4 like normally has like all the chod for old people, but then it has all the film stuff that they don't want to put on. Like that used to be on BBC 2, but people like too many old ladies are watching BBC 2, so they just put like cooking shows on there and stuff.
Okay.
So they put all the film stuff on BBC 4 now. And I found one. It's a new series called Life Cinematic, where they talk to different filmmakers about their favourite scenes from different films and everything like that, and what inspired them, and then pick apart some of their own films.
Okay.
So I watched episode 4 last night, which was with Sofia Coppola.
Okay.
It's a really fascinating watch. It's like giving me some new films that I want to go watch. Some of that like I've seen like snippets of, and I know they're these great films, but I haven't actually gone and watched them myself. So I think I'm definitely going to go watch like In the Mood for Love, which is a Chinese-based film in the 60s. It came out in like the year 2000 or something, but it's based in the 60s in China about 2 couples, and some of them are having affairs and stuff. Beautifully shot. But yeah, Sofia Coppola, it actually made me more interested to watch On the Rocks, you know, that we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
The Bill Murray film.
Yeah.
Because that's by Sofia Coppola. So yeah, and I love Lost in Translation, so they talked about that and stuff like that. Lost in Translation is a great film. I want to go back and watch it again, even though I only watched it at the beginning of lockdown.
Okay, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would definitely recommend checking it out. They did Sam Mendes, who did 1917, Edgar Wright, and I've forgotten who the other female director that they had on is. I didn't recognise a name. I would probably recognise the films, but I didn't recognise a name. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Cool. Wow. Watched quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, strap in, Chris.
Unravels a scroll that bounces across the room and everything. I've got a list.
Are you ready?
Are you winning, son?
So I watched James Mazo cook.
Yeah.
I also watched the whole entirety of Auntie Donna Big Ol' House of Fun that you watched last week.
Yes! We were talking about this the other day. It's so funny.
It's amazing. It's pretty good. Like, I don't think absolutely that humour is not for everybody.
No.
Like, definitely not for everybody. But wow, it is hilarious, mate.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of points which was like, I didn't laugh at everything because it's quite, obviously if you ever watched any of the Auntie Donna stuff, it's like relentless in how much it hits you in terms of the sketch comedy and the brutality of some of the puns in there. But a couple of bits that were really funny were like, we spoke about it already, but like the Seinfeld bit at the beginning in episode 1. The speech bubble bit was hilarious.
The thought bubble, yeah.
Anthony Starr as the stray man. Just...
I love the recurring joke of just throughout the season, the bin's getting full of more and more bodies. Yeah. As they just chuck ragdoll bodies into the trash.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And then you've got the game show bit. It's just the Ellen bit was hilarious. And after that, I went and checked out some of the Italian man. Just, I went and checked out
I shit myself.
I'm He's just the voice, just the voice that Mark does is just hilarious. So after that, I went and checked out some of the YouTube sketches as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so good. And I'm watching sketches from like 2015 and 2014 and stuff, and they're just so funny. And
Did you check out any of the? So they've done a couple different series. Did you check any of the ones out that they did in the school?
Yeah.
I sent you a couple links to some of them, but
the roll call
such a funny
one
series.
was just. I sent that to Richard from the Get Real Gaming podcast as well.
Yeah. I put that in the group WhatsApp just there, like, boys, fucking watch it.
Yeah, so good though.
The
so
kiln
good.
one as well. Have you seen that one? Don't get in the kiln. I love Broden when he's doing like a stern older man.
I went and watched the camping one as well, and the Man Beast one. You ever seen the Man Beast in The Office where he's like, "We don't use nicknames." It's like he's like, "There's been a spelling mistake on my name." It's like, okay, how do I spell your name? And he's like, M for man, A for apple, N for, and then he goes E for eggs and eggs and bacon for brekkie, and then A for eggs and bacon for in my tongue. And he's just so funny, and it's just at the end they spell it fucking wrong, and he's like, "My name is correct. It is man bost." And it's like, yeah, obviously I'm butchering it, but it's.
I think I've just found a new style of comedy as Sam trying to recite other jokes.
Yeah, hilarious. He's funny, man. Like, and the outdoor camping
as well.
Anyway, we could talk about Auntie Donna for ages, but what we could also talk about for ages is what else I've watched this week. So yeah, Auntie Donna is pretty good. Yeah, I'm late to the game on that, but it's pretty funny. I've also watched Hotel Artemis.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, is a pretty easy watch. It's an action film, and it's a hotel-based action film. Set in kind of apocalyptic world, I guess, but not like it's lived in, but there's water shortages and a bit like Blade Runner kind of thing, if you get me.
Yeah. The trailers always reminded me of I wanna be John Wick.
Yeah, it's got that vibe a little bit. It's essentially obviously the premise of the film is it's a hotel for criminals to hide out.
You mean the Continental in John Wick?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, but not specifically hitmen. So it's thieves and arms dealers and stuff like that, which I guess is kind of the Continental anyway. But yeah, it's good. It's a good film. It's got an all-star cast. It's got Jeff Goldblum in it. It's got Jodie Foster in it as the nurse in the hotel.
That's who I was trying to think was playing the nurse.
Yeah, you've got Scylla from Heroes, Zachary Quinto. Charlie Day. Charlie Day's in it. And I was totally surprised by Charlie Day, because the day I'd see Charlie Day as an American Italian arms dealer who's kind of slightly insane is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's just Charlie from Always Sunny, then only he's Italian.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
I've been rewatching Always Sunny still now as well. I think I'm on to season 5 now.
You can literally always watch Always Sunny. There's never a time where you cannot watch all. It's a bit like The Office US, you know what I mean? You can always watch that. Kenneth Choi's in it. He's got a little bit right at the beginning. You've got Sterling K. Brown, Dave Bautista's in it, and Dave Bautista's pretty good in it as well, to be fair.
Dave Bautista's just a pretty good actor, to be fair. Yeah,
and Sophia Boutella as well. So yeah, it's a good cast. But to be fair, it gets slashed a little bit on reviews, so it's 58% Rotten Tomatoes, 6.1 IMDb. It's fine. You're not going to be blown away by it. You're not probably going to watch it again. But it's just a fun watch, if you get me.
Yeah.
So that was good. And I've also watched, which I watched last night. I watched Upgrade finally.
Oh, I've not got round to it
yet. It's
yet.
on Netflix. Oh man, it's incredible. It's such a good film. It's amazing. Like, I can't believe this, because it wasn't really very big in the UK, this film.
No, I don't think it got a wide cinema release over here.
No, if anything, I don't even know if it really got a cinema release over here. I don't know whether it was like something that just got shown abroad, or but it's not a massive studio or anything. And in terms of like the cast list, it's not like an all-star cast. You know what I mean?
It's got not Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah.
The guy that looks like Tom Hardy but isn't Tom Hardy.
Who, interestingly enough, when you shut your eyes and listen to him speak, he sounds just like Adam Driver.
Okay.
When you watch it, you'll get what I mean. But I cannot recommend more to watch this film.
Everyone was saying when it came out, this is what Venom should have been, because it came out around the same time as Venom.
Yeah, it's wicked. Like, it's so good. The premise is amazing. It's set in kind of like a cyberpunk world. That's all it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where, like, my notes are literally all caps. When something happens, it's like next level shit. My mouth was like wide open. Like, I was literally, mate, I was sat there on my own like at 11:30 last night. And you know when you watch something and you like physically react to it?
Yeah.
My mouth just dropped, and it just like literally like it hits you in the face. It's so good. It's so good.
The one bit that I have seen from it is like, is there a fight in an apartment?
Yes.
And like the camera is just like,
That's
the way
the
that they
bit.
shot, was that the bit?
That's
the way
the
they've
bit.
shot it was amazing. So they fitted like an iPhone to his chest to use like the gyroscope in it and stuff like that. And that was attached to a mechanical rig that they had the camera on. So when his body moved, the gyroscope from the iPhone sent that to the camera mechanic. So then the camera could follow his body directly. That's how it's all like motion tracked. So he stays in the middle of the frame all the time when he's flipping around and shit.
That's incredible, because
That scene is phenomenal.
Because those there's like a couple of scenes like that throughout.
Right.
And it's so slick. And even when he like walks down like a corridor a bit, and the camera still kind of does that, but it's quite subtle. It's just the style of the film is just amazing. And obviously, like, the actual plot is really good, and you don't see a lot of things come in. And yeah, it's slick. It's really slick.
It's been near the top of my Netflix watch list for quite a while. I just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, I mean, it is like Red Band, you know what I mean? But it's not like out of control level of Red Band stuff.
Yeah.
It's just when it happens, it's like, whoa, you're not expecting it because it happens so fast. But that's kind of, I think, like with extreme violence and stuff in films like this, I think that's the best way of doing it. I think like when it becomes over the top and it's like every single kind of punch or every single fight scene is like ultra violent, it can sometimes ruin it a little bit. But with
I
this,
think it's being careful as well and not lingering on stuff too long.
No,
like
it's
that's when
like,
it becomes gratuitous. Is like when like they have like a 10-second close-up of somebody's head after it's been caved in or something.
Yeah, it's like literally like it's a split-second moment thing where you just
it's like that Drive elevator scene.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect way to do it. Like, it's gruesome and everything, but it's like flash and done. It's just enough to show the shock and violence of it.
You know what? This film like is quite reminiscent of Drive in a way.
Okay.
It's kind of got that element to it, like with the protagonist and like kind of him on a mission almost kind of thing.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you know, the premise is a bit different, the setting's a bit different, but it kind of has a little bit of a link with that. A bit of Blade Runner-esque, like, because of the world and stuff.
You're just naming all my favourite films there, bro.
but like I say, when you watch it, it could literally be set in cyberpunk.
Yeah,
It's almost like cyberpunk is taken. Obviously, I know cyberpunk's based on the book and everything, but it's almost like they took a leaf out of the world of Upgrade as a link to it. So yeah.
Well, I
cannot,
almost got Lawrence a cyberpunk Christmas present, but I went for something else instead.
Oh man, Sorry,
They've got the Cyberpunk role-playing game, the RPG, the tabletop RPG. There's loads of books and expansions out there for him. I was like, oh, do I pick him up one? But I didn't know which one to get because there was so many of them. Cyberpunk 2020 it is.
Nice. Lawrence would really enjoy this film.
Yeah, definitely.
He would really like this.
That's Lawrence from Get Real Gaming. Check out the boys at Get Real Gaming.
And yeah, that's it. So I've watched quite a lot, but that's me for the week.
Dang.
Before we move on to news, make sure you check us out. Follow us on socials at GetRealPod on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Send us a message. Let us know what you've been watching. We don't mention socials early enough in our episodes, so we're doing it now. But make sure you let us know what you've been watching this week, and if you've watched anything that we've watched, then let us know what you thought of it. Chris, what's in the news this week?
What is in the news this week? So I think, first of all, we'll do a bit of Batman news. So we've had some set photo releases. These are like aerial shots of the set of the Batman. We're seeing what we think is an exterior shot of the Batcave, maybe an entrance or an exit from it. So it's like the side of a cliff face in like a park or something.
Yeah.
Or a wooded area, which it looks like the Batman could come rearing out of the side of a hill, which will be a nice classic Batman nod instead of it all just being like a 21st century fucking neon lighted thing that we've seen in all the other ones lately. Mm-hmm. What else did we get? We got some street views, didn't we? So we now know that the film's going to take place over different seasons throughout it, which is more lending into the theory of it being tied to the Long Halloween and stuff like that. I'm wondering if we're going to get a twist on the Riddler and the villain of Long Halloween, maybe merging them together almost. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
You pointed out something as well with one of these shots. So you've got what looks like the stairs going up to like a town hall or a mausoleum type building. Very reminiscent of where they shot in Liverpool outside of it's not St. Albert's Hall.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of the hall is now, but out front of there. But next to it, you pointed it out to me because I didn't notice. It's like a circular ring full of statues, and you said, "Hold on a minute, isn't that guy like holding a trident?" And I was like, "Yeah, that guy's holding a torch." It looks like it might be like Greek and Roman gods, sort of like tying into. Obviously, they inspired most of the Justice League and different superheroes like that. So you got Hermes holding the torch. He was the one that inspired Flash. You got who would it? Poseidon, I guess it would be. In that case, would obviously have the trident inspired Aquaman and stuff like that. You got the Amazons, and stuff like that. So that might be like a nice little nod to like other things in his universe.
Yeah, imagine if like such a ballsy move, but I know it's not going to happen. But we all love a good speculation. But wouldn't it be a ballsy move if they like teased the idea of like a Wonder Woman character, but in the Matt Reeves universe?
It would be like so cool. Just there, like a nod and a wink to other characters, like make the universe feel more lived in, other than just Batman.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, maybe you see somebody with like a Flash T-shirt or something like that.
Yeah, I mean we've got bits, haven't we? I'm thinking of. Is it another film where we've got like someone wearing like a Superman T-shirt, or like someone's dressed up as?
That was in Shazam, wasn't it?
No, where there's like Halloween costumes. I think that is. Batman, isn't it? Where someone's like dressed up as like a really crap Superman for Halloween.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a Roost Loomer.
It's a Roost Loomer.
If ever you've heard one, Sam either is chatting
it's
shit.
It's a moose remery.
Okay, it's a loose.
It's a loose memory.
I'll take it.
Anyway,
Anyway,
My
what
head's
else is on-
confused with like trying to figure out those words now.
All right, well,
Okay.
we'll put it back on track. Just chatting DC news dead quick. There is a Suicide Squad panel confirmed for Comic-Con Experience, CCXP, which is the digital version of Comic-Con this year.
I was thinking, like, normally
terms
I don't
of-
think there are many Comic Cons this late in the year. So is this like an extra one that they're doing, or?
Yeah, now I said, it's December 6th. Yeah, December 6th. So it's James Gunn tweeted out, my beloved Brazil and friends all over the world, join me and some of the hashtag Suicide Squad at CCXP Worlds December 6th at 5 p.m. for some ridiculous fun.
There seems to be loads of Brazilian Comic Cons this year. Like, they're doing like loads of mini ones.
It's like the Olympics, isn't it? Maybe the...
How is it in any way like the Olympics?
I don't know.
Explain that thought process.
I wasn't even going to try and back it up. I just like verbally diarrheaed out that it's like the Olympics. It's like Star Wars celebrations like the Olympics. You make the pilgrimage to it wherever it is, but it's usually in America, because it's annoying. And we don't. And the only ones we get in the UK are shit, apparently. But because they're in the UK, you think it's amazing, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
what.
it was like the biggest convention we had ever been to. So we were like, yeah, this is fucking sick. We got to see Rogue One. Oh yeah, we got to get Rogue One spoilt for us. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I remember that when that happened. I think we've spoken about that on the podcast before, but
yeah, when we talked about Rogue One.
But Baze, I call him by his name in the film because I can't remember his actual name, but Baze ruined his death scene in
No, he didn't ruin his death scene. He ruined Turret.
Yeah, but the best thing was he hid his death scene. He was like, when something happened with me, Chirrut, understand. Oh no, when he
it's
dies,
the other way around. Yeah,
when Chirrut dies, Baze understands, and then he gets cut off before he can say I died as well, I guess. So, but that was like everyone kind of like you heard like a ooh in the audience.
Alan Tudyk's face was like, what?
Everyone like looked at each other for a second. It was a bit like, and then Gwendolyn Christie swiftly moved us on. But we walked out and we're like, did he just say what we thought he said? Let's pretend like let's just pretend like we never heard it.
Yeah, it was just sort of like a unified thing. People were like, we didn't hear that.
Anyway, that's a tangent from just chatting about Comic Cons, but here we are.
Speaking of otherworldly things, have you seen Sonic the Hedgehog yet?
No. Is there anywhere
well,
I can stream it in the UK at the minute?
Amazon, but you might need to pay for it.
Okay, right. Sonic the Hedgehog. Go on.
Anyway, so spoilers for the end of Sonic the Hedgehog. He ends up going back to his own world at one point, and Dr. Eggman definitely ends up getting trapped there. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 has got a working title. It's in pre-production now. Its production will start in March 2021, but it's going to film under the name of Emerald Hills.
Oh, okay.
Which is a link back to, obviously, Green Hills and Emerald Hills are the first stages in the Sonic the Hedgehog games. So we've seen a lot more of Sonic's homeworld, and also spoilers for the end of Sonic. At the post-credit scene, we see Tails getting introduced. So we're probably going to get a team up of more of the Sonic characters, maybe like universe hopping type thing using the rings and stuff.
Interesting.
So maybe it's going to go like more balls to the walls Sonic instead of James Marsden as Sonic driving through America.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which was a weird concept for a Sonic film, anyway.
Yeah, take us back to actual Sonic Land. That'd be cool.
Sonic Land.
Emerald Hills.
Yeah. So just thought that was an interesting thing. Maybe a tease towards it. Also, speaking of working titles potentially teasing stuff, we've now found out that Doctor Strange 2 is going to start filming as soon as they finally finish wrapping on WandaVision.
Okay.
So Elizabeth Olsen has said this is great for her. She thinks it's going to work amazingly for the character, because Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange 2, so she feels like the character is going to be better for doing these two projects straight after each other, and it's apparently going to have some sort of a through line of her character. Now, a lot of us are theorizing that maybe she might be one of the villains almost in Doctor Strange 2, or a pseudo villain. Like, she's the one causing the cracks in the multiverse, maybe during WandaVision and everything like that. Maybe lead into like a House of M type thing. But we had a casting in Doctor Strange 2 a while ago that we talked about, and I'm going to butcher this name because I have no idea how to say this. Xochitl Gomez, maybe? It's Xochitl. It sounds like a chemical compound. It sounds like something like you would get for like hip pains in America. I apologize for butchering your name, but Gomez, female, Latin American descent, I believe, or like South American descent, and we've been theorizing for a while she might be playing America Chavez, who is a multiverse hopping character who punches star-shaped holes through realities to jump through the multiverse. Okay. And so, tying this back to what I said in the first place, the working title for Doctor Strange 2 is apparently Stellar Vortex.
Right.
So,
okay.
Stellar Vortex, Stellar being like the stars and the universe and stuff like that, and Vortex obviously being like a portal type thing, so maybe star portals. So that ties again into the America Chavez theory. Yeah.
Interesting.
What do you think of that?
It's interesting. And I've not really heard of the whole Chavez theory. But yeah, I think it'd be an interesting move. I think that would mean then that there's a lot of aspects of Doctor Strange that we think we know about but don't actually know about yet, if you get me. Like, it's enough where it's like going to take us by surprise, if you get me.
Definitely. I think this is going to sort of like play into the way of like how they're going to traverse the multiverse and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a really interesting take, like buddying him up with somebody. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because he's sort of like he almost became a bit of a loner. He was just there like, I'm above most of you all except for Wong. Like, Wong's my mate. So yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be an interesting dynamic as well as having like a teenage Southern American, Latin American paired up with Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. It'll be a nice little strange dynamic. Strange dynamic. Yes. I think that's all the MCU news that I've got. I know you had some Roos Lumas.
Well, it's not quite a Roos Luma. Kind of taking in, you know how we love a good segue from MCU to Thor to Chris Hemsworth to Russo Brothers to Extraction 2.
Okay, I thought it was MCU news, but now I'm going to go
MC
on.
MC News. No. It's just that we've got a kind of a time for Extraction 2 being shot. It's going to be shooting sometime next year. Which obviously, if you've watched Extraction, a very, very good action film.
Yes.
Very much sets up and very obvious sequel at the end. Does it not? Who knows? Roos Luma. Not a Roos Luma, confirmed.
I mean, as soon as it did well, and it was one of the most watched films of the year, they were like, yep, we're give it a sequel. That ending was real.
yeah. And considering it was a Netflix, it's like a Netflix exclusive as well, and it smashed it. So yeah, cool. That's
also, speaking of the Russo brothers, I've got a segue for you this time. We have our first images from the Tom Holland Russo brothers film. What's it called? Is it Cherry?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of thank God you remembered this because those images are really cool. I'm really excited about this film.
As soon as you said Russo brothers, it came back to me. I was like, oh, that's why I was forgetting.
Yeah. Go on, take it away.
So what's the film called? Do you remember this? Is it Cherry?
It is called Cherry, yeah. It's an upcoming American crime drama directed by the Russo brothers.
Yes. Yeah. Have you got that tattooed on your arm or something? Because you always seem to pull that out like the same speech.
No, I googled it at the right time. It's also got Bill Skarsgård in it.
Excellent. So they're teaming up with Tom Holland again, like they did for The Devil All the Time.
Yeah.
So this is a struggling ex-Marine who comes back from war, played by Tom Holland. So again, another step away from the MCU Spider-Man that we've seen. His career this year is taken off. It's amazing. It's so happy to see it.
Yeah.
So he ends up becoming like a bank robber and stuff like that. He falls on hard times and he's struggling with life after the military and stuff like that by the looks of it. Living like in poverty almost, it looks, with his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whoever it is, and is pushed to the brink and ends up committing bank robbery. So we've seen some set photos of him. It looks somewhere in the Middle East in full American military garb, and then I think he's got blood on his face and stuff as well. Like he looks like he's seen some shit. Then we see photos of him and his girlfriend sat around in different places, like a rough-looking apartment, and just like chilling in a park or a graveyard or something, it looks like. And then the best one we see is him holding up a bank. He's like sweating profusely. You can tell like he's shitting himself for this.
Well, he's got like
glasses,
a little bit of vomit down his jumper or something. It looks like he's
holding
really
up like a $1 bill which says, "I've got a gun. This is a fucking robbery,"
in like red writing. Yeah, it looks so good. Like that photo alone gets me really excited for like the tone of the film as well.
That photo reminded me so much of Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah.
When Ryan Gosling's character starts doing the bank robberies with Bendo Mendo.
Yeah, I can't wait for this film. It looks like it's going to be really good.
Yes.
2021, I think it's February, so early part of the year.
And this is the Russo brothers' first directorial film since Endgame as well. They've been producing a load of films which often have MCU cohorts in it, but this is the first time directing something since Endgame.
So good. Really excited.
Yes.
Really excited. Anything else in your news, mate? The last big story we've got to talk about is the recasting of Grindlewald for Fantastic Beasts 3.
There we go.
We did report that Johnny Depp was out, and now Mads Mikkelsen is in.
Wow. Definitely like sort of a 180 for the style of that character. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know.
We love Mads Mikkelsen. So.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I haven't watched the Fantastic Beasts film, so I don't know all that much to comment on it that much. But Mads Mikkelsen is a great actor. Yeah, hopefully all this stuff with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard will come to an end soon, and it'll stop being whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah. It's a mess of a situation, let's be honest. There's people on both sides who are unhappy with how things are going on.
That leads me to a Roos Luma that I've seen on the internet. Apparently it's not a Roos Luma. Apparently it's like full-on insider information that she's being penned for a role. But apparently Amber Heard might be in Margot Robbie's Pirates of the Caribbean film, which seems like a major fuck you. Like, not only is like Johnny Depp been sacked from all his stuff, they're now giving his franchise to his ex-wife. Yeah,
and he's also been sacked from Pirates of the Caribbean as well. I think that came out over the last week.
Well, that's what I was saying. He wasn't in the next one anyway, but now Amber Heard is getting a role in the next Pirates of the Caribbean, apparently.
It's almost like damage control from like a studio point of view, but like taking it a little bit extreme, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we've got to stay impartial, I guess. Just because we don't, our listeners could be on either side of it, and it's all in the public media. I guess it's whatever you want, whatever side you want to take on it.
It's just in the court of public opinion at this point.
Yeah. So it's yeah.
I'm getting some. You carry on.
So you were getting some what? Getting
some breaking news here, which isn't breaking news. Apparently, it came out 6 days ago, but I've only just seen it. Apparently, the Umbrella Academy Season 3, Episode 1 title has been revealed, and it gives a hint towards what storyline they're covering.
Okay.
So this is big news for us because we're big fans of the Umbrella Academy.
Big fans of the Umbrella
So I'm
Academy.
trying to speed run the article to find out what it is because it's one of those articles where it doesn't tell you the information until the very
Chris
end.
A quick bit of time
I found it.
Oh, okay.
So this is from Steve Blackman, who is one of the writers on the Umbrella Academy. Episode 1 is going to be called Meet the Family. So I'm guessing this is one of the names from the comic books. Carry on. You can stall now. Now I need you to stall.
So while I stall, we have got a new trailer because I don't think there's much in the way of trailers, so I may as well cover it off now. In news, there's a Clifford the Big Red Dog trailer, which is essentially a live-action Big Red Dog.
Yes, it looks kind of terrifying being bright red.
He's big. Is he as big as Clifford in the... No, he's not as big as Clifford. He's probably about the size of just a little bit bigger than a regular human. He's not an absolute gargant.
He's not the size of a
in the
house.
animation.
Yeah.
Where he has his own house. But anyway, that's it. That trailer's boxed off as well.
I actually had a couple trailers to talk about.
Jeez, I just want to talk about the Mandalorian.
Just real quick, we had a Chinese trailer for Monster Hunter. And, everything that I said that I wanted to see the world look a bit more lived in, like, not focus on all the military stuff in it, like, focus on the actual world of Monster Hunter and stuff. This trailer does all of that, and it looks so much better. And you even got a shot of the cats cooking at the end of the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And the dialogue seems funnier, and the action just looks better and stuff. There's loads of different monsters in this, loads of different environments as well. It's not just all in a desert. So this is literally exactly what I said to you, what I needed from a trailer to make me more excited.
But the big
we got that in the Chinese trailer.
The big question is what is the film actually going to be? Is it going to be more like the Chinese trailer, or is it going to be more like the US and the Western trailer?
I'm thinking maybe the Chinese trailer, because China typically don't care about spoilers, which is why Baze told us that everyone died in Rogue One. So... there was, a few more elements which might be considered, a bit spoilery, like certain action set pieces and stuff like that. So I think maybe towards the Chinese side, because they don't care about spoiling films in the trailers.
Okay, cool. Did you find the rest of your bit for the Umbrella Academy then?
No, people are just saying because it's called Meet the Family, it's going to be sort of like an introduction to the Sparrow Academy, which we all fucking figured out from the last scene of Thingy.
Fake news.
Anyway,
Fake news.
Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to actually talk about it a bit more rather than just being there like, oh, it hints at the story. Yeah, of course it hints at the story, but it hints at the story the same way the last scene hinted at the story. Anyway... there was one last trailer for Life in a Year, which is Jaden Smith and Cara Delevingne. It's a new coming-of-age romance for teenagers. She's got funky, multicolored hair, which looks like wigs, and then you figure out, towards the end of the trailer, she's got less than a year to live because she's got cancer. And it seems like just... one of those. It's like a John Green novel all over again. It's fucking... what was that film called? The Fault in Our Stars Part 2 is what this film is. Why is it teen romances nowadays all need to have somebody dying of something? They think that adds character depth and emotion to it. It's you clearly can't write your romance well enough to add enough emotion into it, that you just need to put death into it. It just seems to be every teen rom-com coming out at the moment. But the interesting thing that I saw about this is we haven't seen Jaden Smith in a film since After Earth, which was shit.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah. And guess who the two executive producers who are funding this film are?
Will Smith.
Yep, and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Fantastic.
So it feels like it's kind of just like a... Also, Jaden Smith is rapping in the film.
Right.
Which... if you've listened to his music, he's a musician and he does a lot of rapping. I think his music's pretty damn good, but...
You know what that kind of feels like? It kind of just feels a bit like, oh, son, you want to act in a film? That's okay.
That's literally what I was thinking.
Who would you like to play opposite you? Cara Delevingne? Yeah, no problem. Let's pay Cara Delevingne to be in this film with you. Go on, son. Start your acting career.
Oh, you're winning, son. That's literally what it felt like when I saw their names flag up so early in the trailer. I was like, oh. Like, he's not been cast in anything for a while, so that's like kind of pushed for him to be in this film. And they probably were just there like, oh, okay, here's a coming of age young adult novel. Let's get somebody to rush a script for it, and then let's push it through production. Yeah.
I mean, in some scenarios, Cara Delevingne can be a really good actress.
Name one.
Stole for a sec.
Carnival Rope? Nope. Paper Towels? Nope.
Valerian and the City of Thousands?
Nope.
But in
Suicide Squad? Nope.
But it's all relative. No, I didn't mean to say that. I don't think. I think what I meant to say was in relativeness to Jaden Smith, could she look like a good actress in this film?
Jaden Smith was a great actor when he was a kid.
Yes.
Like Pursuit of Happiness and stuff like that. Like he was great in. But he also had that childness, like that charm to him. So I don't know.
Anyway, Chris.
Yeah, The Mandalorian. I was going to go on to that before we went down the Cara Delevingne rabbit hole. I'm just staring at an article title saying, "Why does Baby Yoda farting so much in this episode?" And that's all I want to talk about right now.
I don't know whether you said it. I'm going to have to listen back. But in my ears, I heard you say Cara Delevingne, and I was like...
I don't think I did. I think I said Cara Delevingne rabbit hole. Now time for the Mandalorian.
Okay. You did say Cara Delevingne. Anyway,
maybe I did. Maybe I did. And if I did,
the Mandalorian is amazing, and we've
make
got
it
a new
into
episode
a t-shirt
this week that covers the episode chapter 13 / season 2 episode 5 / the Jedi. Because you can't.
I felt like there was too many words there.
Because you can't name it any more confusing than that. But anyway, it's a very good episode. We're going to go full spoilers because, to be honest, we don't want to beat around the bush. What the hell are you doing watching this, listening to this podcast, should I say? If you've not seen this episode of The Mandalorian yet, go watch it, come back, let us know what you think, at GetRealPod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Let's go. Chris, how good was this episode?
Why was Baby Yoda farting so much, and why did I not notice him farting?
Was he? The question is, was he? Was?
I don't know. Like this article just keeps going on about him making farting noises.
I'm sorry. Was Grogu farting?
Right. Okay. So I was like live texting the group chat while I was watching this before anybody else did, and holy shit, I literally nearly fell off my chair. Like I was screaming from the beginning right through to the fucking end. Grogu? We got a name for him? He's not the child anymore. We have to stop calling him Baby Yoda.
We'll never stop. Never stop.
All your merch that says the child on is now outdated.
My mug that has him on there is now outdated. No.
Like the boxes with the pop vinyls in that say the child, cross it out, right? Grogu. Fucking... Who was it? Eric Voss from New Rockstars made a joke saying that it's carrying on the convention for Yoda's species of sounds that you make when you're drunk trying to order a yogurt.
All these people that say they have Baby Yoda tattoos are now called Grogu tattoos, and all of a sudden it got a lot nerdier.
Yeah, right. Shall we start from the beginning of the episode and work through?
So I was not expecting this episode to start with Ahsoka Tano.
No filler.
No filler. It starts straight away. You get the white lightsabers, and it's like, oh.
She was terrifying in that first scene.
Yeah,
she was like kind of Predator.
I was kind of a bit not concerned, but I was a bit skeptical right at the beginning for like, how are they doing Ahsoka?
Yeah, making her dark. Like she was always like the beacon of light in the Clone Wars series.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, she's been through some shit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
She got pulled through the world between worlds. Spoiler.
Yeah.
So she's seen some shit. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit. I was a bit taken away, and obviously, as the episode went on, I really started to appreciate and understand and really like what they did with her because she is older. She's much older. She's much wiser than what we had in the Clone Wars.
I think the look and Rosario Dawson like embodying it, I thought was great. Like you said, like I was a little bit at the beginning. I was like, "What's happened to her in like the time between Rebels and this?" Like she's got dark, but you find out the reason why she's acting like that and stuff is because she's on a greater mission.
She's on a greater hunt, should we say?
But I thought she was fantastic. I thought Rosario Dawson can literally play any role at this point.
Yeah, literally, she smashed it. Really smashed it.
Also, she's been in like near enough every major nerdy franchise. She's kind of doing like the Oscar Isaac plot of like trying to get in every nerdy franchise.
She'll be like protected by all the nerdy franchises. Apart from, will she? Because there's quite a lot of people out there now that the episode's been out for a little bit, poking a little bit of hate. I get not hate, but nerdy, just bullshit towards her character.
I think
because
it's
they're
people
comparing
just
her to
being
the animated series. I guess, yeah.
I think it's people just being too butthurt and precious about it, and also we've seen this with like loads of characters, and we know there is a real toxic side to the Star Wars fandom at times. Like we saw it with Rose Tycho. I think that might largely be what it is just like they thought they had this precious little thing in this animated character, and now as soon as she's been brought to the forefront, like I feel like they're going to be like, oh, normies know who Ahsoka Tano is now. Like she's not like a niche lore character anymore. Like she's out there for the normies, and I think that's just why people are butthurt about it.
Yeah, I think actually thinking about how you've just said that, this episode does a really good job of, if you don't know who Ahsoka Tano is, you don't have to rely a lot on her previous, like what we've seen in Rebels and Clone. It definitely helps, don't get me wrong, but, just knowing her as the Jedi, and if you know Star Wars and know of Jedis, there's something a bit different going on here with this one, with like the white lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. And
the white sabers.
Yeah, she's got
the white lightsabers.
And then she's got the, she's got the history there with the temple, and it doesn't rely on you knowing her relationship with Anakin as much. Apart from it drops it a little bit when she says, we even lost the greatest of us all, which is kind of a bit of a sad reference. But obviously you get the mention. We'll jump straight to it and talk about it in a bit. But she mentions that she's looking for Thrawn, and obviously if you have all the all the background from Rebels and stuff as well, why she's doing that. But
I think this episode was so rewarding for deep Star Wars fans and people that love the lore. Like the amount of lore that you just mentioned got dropped into like the main live action series that everybody's watching. So we've had Thrawn, we've got Ahsoka, we've got the history between the Mandalorians and the Jedis, like in their ancient wars back in the day. You've got seeing stones and Jedi temples and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the fact that it's mentioned, but also that's where they're going now.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about predictions for where we think this is going to go now, because we knew it. I think we kind of knew where we were going with this, but I think from this point now, it's a bit like, we're a bit for the unknown now for the other half of the episode, the other half of the season, sorry.
I think a lot of us were sort of predicting that Ahsoka would come on this journey with the Mandalorian almost, weren't we? To like reunite Yoda with his own race.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're not getting that. Like maybe she's like done with the series for now, similar to how Bo-Katan sort of came in for one episode and she's left for now. Obviously, I think this is all going to wrap up towards the end of the season or tie into season 3.
Another thing I want to mention really quickly when we were talking about people hating on it, hating on the looks and stuff and just bits and bobs, like, don't forget, Dave Filoni, who created the character and who we all worship as, like, the greater good of the Star Wars narrative team, directed, written, and created this episode, produced this episode. This was, by all respects, his episode. So you can't like, who are you gonna hate on? You can't
Like-
hate on him and then still enjoy Clone Wars. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah,
Come on, people, just
it's
think
not,
about it.
It's not like, people are like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams don't understand Star Wars because this, and this from Clone Wars, but then this, and this in the sequels. It's like, that's one thing. But taking a guy that created the character, writing the character now, this is the most Ahsoka Tano could be in live action. Like, clearly there was nothing wrong with it. Like, clearly everything makes sense because he's the one that's only ever made Ahsoka and only ever made Ahsoka make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, it couldn't have been wrong in any way. Like, if something's changed, you feel like there's clearly a reason behind it. Maybe you've not watched all of Rebels, or we still don't know what's happened in that time jump between Rebels and this. Like, we know she's still on the hunt for Thrawn and stuff like that. So,
and the other thing is in terms of if you've got problems with the look, obviously the what you got to remember is your cartoon versions, your animated versions of these characters don't look anything like the live version. Well, they do, but a lot of features and stuff are what's the word I'm looking for? Are accented. Like, look at Count Dooku in. Look at Count.
Yeah, like if you said like, oh, this is an honest depiction of Christopher Lee would be turning in his grave. Like, that is definitely a caricature.
That's what I mean. I mean, you just look at like his beard and that, and I mean, that's
the fucking
accented.
length of his face and his nose. Like,
yeah, that's it. And then look at like Obi-Wan versus, you take features and you accent them, and that's what they've done with Ahsoka.
Yeah, I think the Obi-Wan one is like the most accurate depiction of any of them. Like, it's even got like the mole or the birthmark on his forehead and stuff like that. Like, they took over like aspects of Ewan McGregor for that character, but then like the Anakin one doesn't really look like Hayden Christensen that much.
No, exactly.
And then like Palpatine's just got like the fucking biggest brow and snoz in the world. Like an animated character is an animated character. It's not a real life character. Like, she looks amazing, especially considering like the older Ahsoka from the Rebels art style. She looks a lot more like that. Like, she doesn't look like Ahsoka in the Clone Wars is a teenager essentially.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, I've seen people say Ashley Eckstein should have played, who voices Ahsoka Tano, should have played her in the live action. But if you think about that, like, she's a voice actress really at heart. She's not a, and Rosario Dawson is an amazing actress.
Yeah, see, I don't think that the voice actress looks any more like the animated version than Rosario Dawson does.
No, that's it. So, I mean,
I was listening out to the voice. I was like, does it sound like it could be like a plausible older version of Ahsoka? And it could be a plausible older version. I think the only way they could have pleased everyone would be if they had Rosario Dawson play her, but then get the voice actors to overdub all the lines. But then that would just be weird.
Yeah.
I would be kind of insulting to Rosario Dawson because then she's doing all the acting and then you're taking out all her dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. So, other quick little references we had in terms of Ahsoka. You had the owl, which is if you're a real nerd, is the embodiment of the sister from the Clone Wars series, where you've got those Force beings.
Yeah, they go to essentially the planet that is the living embodiment of the Force. So you've got the father, who's like the middle, then you've got the son, which is the dark side, and the daughter, which is the light side of the Force.
Yeah, and
Ahsoka gets reborn from the sister, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's the Mortis arc, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
You see that? You see Lothcats. You see
where was the owl in this episode?
When he's walking through the forest, it's in the tree, and you can see it's got like a little bit like green in it. So looks like
yeah.
It came out the World Between Worlds, wasn't it? It was in that episode chilling. So that was a little nod to that in there as well. You had Lothcats, which is a reference from Rebels. You had, and we can move on to the other actors and actresses we saw in the series. in the episode. We also saw a HK droids, which I nerded out at because HK droids are assassin droids, and these were what, HK 87, something like that. They said, and HK 47 is from Knights of the Old Republic, and very cool. I was
surprised when they called them HK droids because they didn't look all that much like HK 47 to me. Like the head shape seemed different, but I guess it's just a different model of HK droid, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like I was really like, when I heard it was a HK droid, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be so cool if it...
I was waiting for the final fight at that point. I was like, yeah.
Well, I was waiting for something like for it to talk to talk to one of the masters or something. And I was just expecting it to do the whole commentary, or like the reference. I don't know whether you've played it, but like the HK 47 droid in Knights of the Old Republic, does it summarizes what it's going to say before it says it. So if it was gonna insult someone, it would say insult. And then follow it up, or observation, or suggestion, and then it would follow it up. And I was just, but then when you heard them just do the whole Death Trooper, whatever, to each other, I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. That would have been a bit too on the nose if they did that, but the nerd in me would have loved it. But I
loved how this episode was such like, it was like a Western and like an Eastern Western, like a samurai film, like Akira Kurosawa.
New Rockstars,
a lone swordsman fighting off and stuff like that. You had the standoff, like the magistrate in Ahsoka's fight was very much like a samurai fight, and then on the outside you had like a Western, like you had a Clint Eastwood standoff.
Yeah, that was cool, and that's the guy from Aliens who we thought was cast as like another bounty hunter, a few months ago, wasn't it? So
you
episode.
pointed out like a nod to like the other Mandalorians, like Boba Fett and Jango Fett, with like the way he was stood there like twitching with his with his holster and stuff like that.
No, it's the pistol spin he does. He does a pistol spin when he puts it back in his pocket, and I was like, that was such a Jango Fett reference.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, like that whole standoff, like the way he's like playing like when do I draw my weapon and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed this episode. The fact it was 45 minutes felt a lot better.
Oh, so much better. I wanted to talk about that. Like, I feel like the Mandalorian episodes this season, because they've been doing so much, I feel like they've been too short.
Yeah,
like,
I get
there's
that.
just not been enough content, and this at 45 minutes was the perfect length for it. It wasn't overly drawn out to be an hour long. Mm-hmm. And it gave everything breathing room, and they were able to put enough content into it.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Baby Yoda's backstory now then? Because we touched on it, but
so he's the same age as Anakin.
Yeah.
But obviously his race ages a lot slower.
Yeah, with an S-curve like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
So we find out that he was trained on Coruscant the same time that Ahsoka and Anakin and stuff were trained on there, which means he was there for the fall of the Jedi Order. He escaped the youngling slaying of Anakin. So he's got a gap in his memory and everything like that from essentially when he left the Jedi Temple. Somebody took him away from there, and we don't know who. So Ahsoka references Yoda in this, but we also know that what's the name? Is it Yodel?
Yaddle.
Why did I think Yodel?
Yaddle. Sorry, Yaddle.
Yeah. She is the female Yoda species that we saw in episode 1, but we don't really see after that. Maybe we're getting a throwback to that, because also somebody pointed out we get a callback to Yoda and Yaddle in Fallen Order.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, there's a little conversation. Star Wars loves to drop bits here, there, and everywhere, so it could have just been a little reference and nothing more.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to find out more about how he escaped the Jedi Temple on Coruscant at some point.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be like a major reveal, people are saying maybe it might tie into the Obi-Wan series that we're getting.
Yeah,
because that's going to take place in the gap in Grogu's memory. It feels weird at calling him Grogu now after so long of calling him Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
But what else did we get? He's sort of closed himself off from the Force a little bit because he's not been training in it. He's been hiding it so that he like as a survival technique.
Yeah, which is interesting because that's what happens with Luke Skywalker as well. He closes himself off. Rey feels it, doesn't she? You've shut yourself off from the Force, and so it's a nice little reference to that. I've seen a lot of people saying that he's chose the path of the Mandalore rather than. I don't think he's chose the path of the Mandalore. Have you seen him?
I loved the family dynamic between them as well. Like, it made me want Ahsoka to go along with them because they seemed like a family.
Yeah,
like she was so caring towards him. Like, as soon as like we saw her and Grogu together, that's when I was like, see, Ahsoka is fine. Like, they know who she is. She is the caring one. She cares about people and like life itself. And she was really caring towards Grogu, like the way like she would like pick him up and almost cuddle him as she was carrying him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, she sees a lot of herself in Grogu as well because they were younglings in the Coruscant Temple. And stuff
but
like
at the same time, she does treat him with like a lot of respect because she knows he's like 50 years old or whatever.
Yeah,
you know
he
what
is.
I mean?
He is an elder at the end of the day.
Yeah, which is a weird concept to get your head round, but interesting. But should we talk about Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Yes.
So, he's a big villain from Rebels and Legends that came back into canon when he was introduced in Rebels.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very cool character.
Big blue guy.
So,
leader of a fleet.
Spoilers for Rebels, but basically what happens at the end of Rebels is Ezra Bridger, who's like the main protagonist in Rebels, out of Phoenix Squad, he ends up, there's big force whales, which sounds incredibly crazy if you've not seen it. And what happens is Thrawn and Ezra are plunged into hyperspace and they don't know where they've gone by these force whales that are basically hyperspace force whales. And that's it. So Ahsoka's looking for Ezra, you believe, who thinks that they'll find Thrawn if they find... No, thinks she'll find Ezra if she finds Thrawn, maybe?
Yeah.
But So I've just come across like an article on Digital Spy, which is basically like, is Thrawn actually going to be the big bad of The Mandalorian? Is Moff Gideon just like a front? I did the poll on there just to see what the results would be, and a lot of people, like 73% of people that did that poll, are like thinking that he could be the big bad of The Mandalorian. Now,
maybe
I think maybe that. Potentially, but maybe what they've done is they've maybe teased the idea for having like an Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's
what I was
thinking. A new film trilogy or something, and have Rosario Dawson as the head of it, or I don't know. Like, I think like it could potentially just be set up as its own thing. But
yeah, I think since we had the casting of Ahsoka and rumors of Sabine being in the series, and lots of loose rumours have been floating about an Ahsoka Sabine spin-off series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great, given it the time to breathe in like a series. A film would also be fantastic, but it's whether they would push for another film based off established characters in the Star Wars universe at this point.
The other thing is what the hell's going on with Sabine? Because the last time we see them in Rebels is that Sabine and Ahsoka are like looking for Ezra. So unless they've split up and Sabine's gone somewhere else, or maybe, she'll show up with Bo-Katan at some point. Or...
Well, that's what I was about to say. Maybe she was following up a lead on the Mandalorians or something, maybe. And like in the situation that Ahsoka was trying to just sort of like raid this one village by herself, like maybe she thought like it would be a bit too dangerous with Sabine there as well, like she could infiltrate it a bit easier by herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe because we found out this week as well. I think it was Pedro Pascal has said that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have written the story outline up until season 5.
Wow.
So if they have got it up to season 5, then maybe Thrawn might be the big bad.
Yeah.
If they're plotting things out that far ahead, they could build up to the big bad.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised because someone other than Moff Gideon must have masterminded what was going on with the Emperor for the sequel trilogy. You know, like getting all that fleet together and, you know, masterminding the whole First Order stuff and making sure that's all in place after the fall of the Empire. You know, we're assuming that they've gone somewhere in the galaxy. They're not like trapped somewhere. They only went into hyperspace. So, you know, it's good. And I think you're right. I think that they've got enough time to set something like that up. But the other thing is that they are heavily focused on the TV side of stuff now, rather than the film stuff.
Yeah.
So potentially, you know, you've got the stones or whatever, I don't know, whatever it is for the Mandalorian to carry someone like Thrawn into live action rather than it being in a film, having sort of big character like that. Plus, I mean, we saw that that mural at Celebration, which basically shows Pierce Brosnan as Thrawn. So who reckons it might be Pierce Brosnan playing Thrawn? Who knows?
So what I was just thinking was, following on from, you know, Ahsoka saying that, what planet did she say he had to take into?
Tython.
Tython, yeah. To the Jedi Temple on Tython and put him on a seeing stone, and hopefully then he would reach out to another Jedi. Do we reckon maybe that might reach out to Ezra, and that's how they find Ezra?
Well, this is what I was thinking. So, speculations now for next season. The other thing, quickly, before we move on to speculations, is that this was the highest rated episode of The Mandalorian. To give you an idea, the episode where they introduced Cobb Vanth and Bo-Katan, they got rated 9 out of 10. So people generally love this episode. Right, so who do we reckon's going to show up? The big questions really is when and if they go to, you know, the Seeing Stone or what have you to call out to other Jedi. The question we ask is, will he first, or will he just want to stick with the Mandalorian? You could have this big fake out where it doesn't actually happen. I don't know what you think about that.
And we're back.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I literally, my mic stand completely fell off my desk and I had to reattach it, but I kept knocking my microphone cable.
No, that's okay. I don't know whether you heard what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I think similar to what you were saying then. I
mean, I do have ideas of who could show up and who could answer the call, but if anyone does.
I think he'll go onto the Seeing Stone and he will. I think Mando wants him to be trained now, even if Mando ends up staying with him for his training. I don't think he'll leave the Mando because, like you said, he's like a father figure to him now. I think they are a team for life now, or unless it becomes way too dangerous and he does have to leave Grogu behind to do his training, and then Grogu could come back maybe in a later season to like save Mando or something. That would be a cool character arc. But I reckon he will go on the Seeing Stone and he will find someone to train him, but I don't think he'll necessarily leave Mando. Maybe Mando gets asked to stay with him for the training. A lot of people are saying maybe Cal Kestis from Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Because he's on the same journey that Ahsoka is to find younglings and protect them. So maybe that's a theory. That would obviously Fallen Order and Mandalorian season 1 came out like the same day or the same week. So there is connections there, and like we said, we've got all these different connections. They've been to similar locations as well and followed similar plot lines and character threads. So I think it is all entirely possible. but I think maybe the Ezra one might work.
Yeah.
To bring that all full circle, especially if Thrawn's going to be in it.
We're assuming Thrawn is going to be in it.
Well, this is all speculation anyway, so...
See, I reckon that we've got 3 episodes left of the season, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe either the next 3 episodes are going to be their journey to Tython. Because Tython is, like, taken over by, I believe it's, like, more Imperial now, or it was more Imperial, based in the comics. You know, after the fall of the Republic and stuff, I think they took over it. Vader had been there. You know, you might get vibes that either Moff Gideon might stop them from getting to Tython. You could either have it where Baby Yoda just decides not to call out. He might decide to call out and we just don't see anybody answer the call. Maybe they don't stay around long enough for somebody to answer it, and then you see that person turn up. You know, in like a bit like a Boba Fett-esque thing, maybe. Who would you like to see turn up if you could pick one person?
Where's this in the franchise? See, what I'm also thinking is, so Ahsoka has kind of like washed her hands of it almost and been like, she doesn't consider herself a Jedi anymore, and she feels like she's almost like closed off to that side of the Force, maybe almost.
Yeah.
But what if, when he calls out from there, he gets Ahsoka? And, like, that's a realization for Ahsoka, and that's, like, a call for action for her to return to the Jedi Order and, like help the younglings again. Like, what she's doing, trying to find Ezra and stuff is important, but she also needs to think about the next generation of younglings. It's not just her and Ezra.
Yeah, so you'd like to see Ahsoka come back in some kind of fashion, whether that be answering the call. Maybe she goes to Tython and maybe helps them and before he has to call out, maybe she like saves them from an attack or from Gideon or something.
That's what I was thinking. Like that would be like the climax of the series would be the Mandalorians and Ahsoka coming in to help them on, maybe the battle takes place on Tython. Yeah,
maybe. I think personally, I'd maybe like what I'd like to see is perhaps what happens is that it stays with Din and maybe the Bo-Katan and the Darksaber and Moff Gideon. Maybe it sticks with that. So what happens is they go to answer the call. Maybe they stick around for a bit, and then maybe like nobody answers it, and then they carry on and maybe go back. But when they go back to wherever, maybe something's going on with Gideon, or you know he's like turned up and he's attacked the planet where Grief Karga and Cara Dune are and stuff. Maybe. Alternatively, then what I would maybe want to see is like maybe Cal Kestis answer the call and turn up, but then he's just teased because that's we're not going to be surprised at who plays him. It's obviously going to be the guy who plays Cal Kestis. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me get his name because I'm forgetting.
Cameron something.
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, that's it. That'd be cool. I don't know. I have a feeling that he's just not going to call out. I feel like it's going to keep the story between Grogu and the Mandalorian.
That's why I'm thinking maybe if he calls out and he gets Ahsoka, then maybe like she could go on the journey like with the Mandalorian with Jin to find like Ezra and the other Mandalorians and stuff. Like she could be more of a traveling companion and like teach them on the road, as opposed to maybe if like they get like a Cal Kestis or another Jedi that we know is still alive at the moment, like a Luke Skywalker, or a lot of people saying maybe we get a Luke Skywalker. We get a younger Luke trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. That's another theory out there, which would be amazingly cool. Like if it's Ahsoka, then she is more of a character that could stay along with the journey, and they could do this training while they're doing these other storylines and dealing with Moff Gideon and stuff like that. Whereas if it's like a Luke or a Cal Kestis or something like that, it would be taking Grogu away from the Mandalorian story.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm leaning more towards like an Ezra or a Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, we'd really like to know what you think, listeners, if you'd want to get in touch and let us know. Another couple of things to polish off before we finish. You know when they talk about the Beskar spear?
Yes.
I've just seen a really funny image that references that perhaps that could have been a nod to Pedro Pascal's character in Game of Thrones, Oberyn Martell.
Yeah, the Viper.
Yeah, who uses a spear in his fight because it's quite a similar. It's like a basic similar design.
Yeah.
And also we didn't mention earlier up top, but today we got some really sad news about David Prowse passing. We got mixed up with news before and forgot to mention it.
I was going to mention it at the end of the news going into Mandalorian because that would have made sense. But oh man, so sad. I've actually got a signed picture of the original Star Wars trilogy. It's signed by Kenny Baker, Anthony Daniels, and David Prowse.
Oh, that's
in
sad,
the
man.
box next to me.
Yeah, real sad day. And as I woke up and I knew we were going to be talking about Star Wars a lot and stuff, I was like, oh, it's really sad.
Yeah, he was the living, literally the living embodiment of Darth Vader. He did the body, the physical acting, whereas James Earl Jones did the vocal acting for Darth Vader. But wow,
yeah,
I think we wouldn't be sat here today talking about. We probably wouldn't be talking about films at all because Star Wars was such a big part of our lives. Without Darth Vader being the presence that he was, we wouldn't be here talking. We definitely wouldn't be talking about The Mandalorian because it probably wouldn't exist without David Prowse.
Yeah, exactly. Sad times. May he rest in peace. Right, let's wrap up. A bit of a somber note to wrap up on, but thought it was important that we mentioned that in this episode. Make sure you check us out, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at GetRealPod. Let us know what you think of The Mandalorian. What's your speculations going forward for it? Get in touch with us. Let us know. Where can people check out and support the pod, Chris?
You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, GetRealPod. We have an email address, getrealpoduk@gmail.com. Don't send us spam, just send us cool information and your thoughts and opinions on The Mandalorian and stuff like that. Fuck you, Simon. We started getting more after we called you out last time, so
stop it. Behave.
We don't care about Medicare, okay? You can use your own email address. If you want to support the podcast, the best way you can do that is share us out on your socials whenever we put out a new episode link or something. I think this is a great episode for people to listen to if they're big fans of The Mandalorian, like you are, clearly, if you're listening to this. Yep. So share us to one friend, share us to two friends. But you could also leave us a rate and review on all the podcast networks that you listen to us. Follow us on Spotify as well. If you leave a rate and review on Podchaser, that's the right one, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
Yep, Podchaser. I don't know why I forgot that this week. If you leave a rate and review on Podchaser, it'll syndicate it to all the other networks. Don't forget to check out the boys over at Get Real Gaming. I think that's everything that we need to do at the end of that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, make sure you check out the boys at Get Real Gaming as well if you're into the gaming stuff. Our sister podcast, our twin podcast. And yeah, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye now.